I know one thing about this Republican Party. They can't stand wasting your taxpayer dollars. So today they put Marjorie Taylor Greene in charge because this is a serious party. And they're going to get down to the bottom of some serious issues, like maybe stock manipulation with these tariffs. Financial disclosures revealed that right here. The early exhibit of man on April 8th and 9th, Greene purchased between $21,000 and $315,000 in stocks from companies such as Apple, Amazon, FedEx, Nike, and Palantir. That's Peter Thiel's. She also sold between $50,000 and $100,000 in U.S. Treasury bills on April 8th. Sounds like she had a tip. Or maybe some insider trading. Who's Martha Stewart? What did she go to jail for? These transactions occurred shortly before Trump's April 9th social media post encouraging stock purchases and the subsequent tariff pause, which led to significant market gains. That's manipulation. If her name was Nancy Pelosi and you were a chud, you would be up in arms about this. But because it's, early exhibit of man and you're on a team, it doesn't matter. So what was today's hearing about? What did they get to the bottom now that she's in charge today of Congress? Was today's pressing issue the tariffs? Nah, Trump says your kids don't need to play with toys. This is his kid right here, but your kid doesn't need to play with toys. How about that big, beautiful border wall to stop everyone coming in? Is that what they were giving funding to today? No, not that either. The issue early exhibit a man dove into today was amateur fencing and the trans athletes within it. No matter where you stand on this issue, right? Amateur fencing, trans athletes. Don't you think there's a better use of the federal government's time, of these people you elect to make your life better, than something that should be decided by like a regional board? Can cave women compete in fencing? That's what Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to know. But hey, our favorite congresswoman articulates it better than me.
So, Miss Goss-Graves, I want to play a game.
All right.
It's called Trump or Trans. You ready?
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to tell me whether or not it is Trump or trans people that are responsible. You understand?
She's the best.
Okay, very good.
National treasure.
The first one, gutted medical research.
Trump.
Kidnapping Americans and sending them to foreign countries, a.k.a. deporting them.
Trump.
Driving us into a recession.
Trump.
Increasing the cost of everything.
Trump.
Waging an idiotic tariff war.
Trump.
Harming farmers.
Trump.
Ignoring the Constitution.
Trump.
Proposing to take away Social Security.
Trump.
Cutting health care.
Trump.
Firing government workers who keep our country safe.
Trump.
Encouraging an environment of hate and divisiveness.
Trump.
Thank you so much. This committee could be engaged in actual oversight of fraud, waste, abuse, and mismanagement. So let's talk about waste. Like Trump's plan to spend almost $100 million for his little birthday parade. Or how he spent 25% of his first 100 days golfing, costing taxpayers tens of millions of dollars. In fact, it's a little bit over $30 million at our last estimation. In fact, President Trump is on pace to spend more than $1 billion of taxpayer dollars just on golf.
Margie's checking her tax.
Yet the Republicans have been silent.
Back there.
So they must think spending taxpayer dollars on the president's golfing trips is more important than providing health care to their constituents. And when I talk about constituents, we're going to talk about the ones on this committee.
Jasmine Crockett, national treasure. She just went through 10 things we could be talking about. But as you saw, Marjorie Taylor Greene in the back, looking down at her phone, probably checking her stocks that she illegally traded on. No one wants to get into any of those issues. Nobody wants to get into things that will actually make this Congress less corrupt or even our lives better. They want to talk about amateur fencing and trans athletes in it. I mean, if you're out there and you've ever woke up and said, you know what? You know what's plaguing my life today? Trans athletes fencing.
Point of order. Out of curiosity, is the chairwoman allowed to editorialize before every speaker on the Democratic side speaks, or is that part of
she doesn't know.
her time, which we know that she went over?
It's not a point of order.
Totally a point of order.
You're taking Ms. Stansberry's time. I know you're trying to be chair of oversight, but Ms. Stansberry is the ranking member.
Chair would be better on this side. I do agree with that.
It's Ms. Stansberry's time.
Agreed. Hey, you guys want to do a running bet? It is only a matter of time before one of these undomesticated Republicans out here calls someone the N-word, calls a Democrat the N-word. And if you guys want to take bets, my bet is it's going to be Marjorie Taylor Greene calling Jasmine Crockett the N-word. Do I have any takers out there? I'll give you 5-1 odds. Brian Kemp is not going to run for Senate in Georgia. So the best bet, what they're probably going to end up with, is this early exhibit of man here. And honestly, with a mug like that, I would kind of keep the trans issue. I wouldn't really bring it up. Unless someone wants to do a pronoun check on her. But if you're at your job, because unlike these schlubs, you actually have to work for a living. If you're at your job and they say you're in charge tomorrow, would you not prepare at all? Because she does not know what's going on.
Now let's go a little bit further with this.
Oh,
Madam
how
Chairwoman, your time
respectable.
has expired.
You're not
It
recognized,
is.
Ms. Crockett.
The whole
Mr.
thing was like
Liefeld,
this.
you wrote a blog post where you said that one day your daughter,
Madam
might
Chair, on a point of
compete-
order.
They think
This
as
is
Trump
my
rules as
time and
kings,
I'm
they
the chair.
can't
No,
do,
you
right?
that was your
Wanna see a
time. Your
tantrum?
time is
Here it
over,
comes.
and now we're asking, are we?
The chair has discretion to assign
I've
time,
lost
and you know
time.
it, sir.
I have lost
As long as
time.
we have that understanding, that's fine.
I've
Grab your
lost
stick,
time.
kid.
I
And-
yield 2.5 minutes to the chair lady.
Mr. Liefeld, the gentlelady's time has
Look at it.
expired.
I also want to acknowledge your
Like a
The
child.
gentlelady's time has
acknowledgement of
expired. I now
Madam Chair,
recognize
do we not have a?
Miss
You
McLean
spoke for over
from
a minute
Michigan.
more
Point of
than
order.
your allocated
You
time.
took a minute of my time wasting
Pathetic,
my
right?
time on a non-point of order. The gentlelady's
Madam
time has
Chair, the
expired. I
clock
now
was not
recognize
running during the
Miss
point
McLean
of order.
from
Point of
Your
Michigan.
time was not wasted. And to the trans
I now
community,
recognize
we
Miss McLean
stand
from-
with you, with the
Madam.
LGBTQ plus community. We
Look,
stand with you.
that guy's
and
trying to
you
explain to
require
her what's going on behind her.
Madam
This is
Chair,
pathetic.
we stand
The
with
Republican
LGBTQ
Congress
plus
literally made these
community,
rules, but she
and
has
you
no
can
idea
gavel
what's
me
going
till-
on.
Order.
You're asking for a
This,
point of
this
order.
hearing will come
So
to
she
order.
just starts slamming
This
her
hearing will come to
gavel.
order.
Madam Chair, I have a
This
question.
hearing will come
This
to
is
order.
devolving.
Madam Chair, I
This
just-
hearing
This is a
will
democracy
come to order. I now
devolving.
recognize
Point of
Miss
order.
All they're
McLean.
asking for is a point of order because through this whole thing, she's been putting little cliff notes after the Democrats talk, every time the Democrats talk, or if she prefaces it, right? Anytime they have something to say, she adds a little bit in about what they've said, and then she cuts them off. And when they call her on it, you know what I mean? And someone here who actually knows the rules, who's not someone who inherited a construction business from her daddy. He's just trying to get clarification.
Point of
Miss
order.
McLean
I
from
just have a
Michigan.
point of order.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me tell you,
Madam Chair, I
Yeah.
had a
What's your
point of order. Could we just have the timekeeper, log the time between both the Democrats and Republicans, and then we rebalance them so that we each have equal time? That's pretty basic.
We will consider that. Thank you.
Consider it. It's in the
Ms.
rules.
Scott- No.
That's-
You took
that's-
a minute of my time.
that's not a
All right,
suggestion.
okay.
Those are the rules.
Enough.
No.
You're wasting your
Hey,
time.
look,
That's
either,
not.
either we go
We
by
are
the rules
keeping
or
equal
we're
time.
out of here.
We're keeping equal time.
The door's
okay.
open.
Miss
All right.
The door's open,
McLean from
she
Michigan
says.
is now recognized.
He says we gotta do the rules, right? And then someone on there says, "There's the door. You can leave," because this isn't a democracy anymore. They all think they're little Trumps. Nobody in North Georgia who voted for her is embarrassed about this, right? And if they are embarrassed about it, they wait to tell their sister wife when they get home, after they turn off all the lights and don't let anyone hear. This is an infection in this party. This party's not going to live through this. Either this party dies, the MAGA party dies out. We stamp it out. We never hear from it again. Or, as you're seeing right here, as you're seeing daily, it infects our government and our government dies.
So, of course, Republicans on the Government Efficiency Committee are holding an emergency hearing on semi-pro fencing. Not fences like the kind that goes around a building, but like the sport with the
Semi-pro
swords.
fencing.
And I've knocked on thousands of doors and talked to thousands of Republican, Independent, and Democratic voters in my career. And not a single time has someone flung open their door and said, Thank God you're here, Congressman. I want to ask you about transgender people fencing. It's just never happened. I've never even met a fencer before. I've just seen it on The Parent Trap. I'm sure it's a great sport, but what the hell are we doing here? Seriously, we're here because Chairwoman Marjorie Taylor Greene thinks that if she picks on vulnerable people, like trans folks, she can avoid having a discussion about the allegations of insider trading against her.
Elect me.
She thinks that she can distract from the fact that Trump and MAGA Republicans are raising your costs every single day, suppressing your wages every single day, stealing your taxpayer dollars every single day, and threatening your health care. That's the reason we're at this crazy hearing today.
Exactly. This woman has a chance to be the next senator of Georgia from this. Behaving this way, not knowing what's going on. Gavel, just play that as an attack ad. That little tantrum that's going on. Oh, but she wasn't done there. Because what is the Republican Party? What is the Republican Party without falsifying some data, falsifying some pictures? Even Fox News had to pick up this one.
I had already spent the money on
before we get into it, this is the poor fencer, right? She lost to a trans athlete, I guess, in fencing. I'm not even sure how being a trans athlete in fencing helps you, right? As a guy, you know, when I'm trying to get my wife with my sword, when I'm trying to get a point in, if you know what I mean, she's better at dodging it than me. So I'm not sure how that helps. But this poor woman had to fence against
competition fees and new equipment and spent hours training. I felt trapped. I had been defrauded of a women's tournament and sold a lie by USA Fencing.
Now, one big fight, Martha, has been over a picture of him the chairman. Chairwoman Marjorie Taylor Greene actually brought it up during the hearing, and Democrats said this was a big misrepresentation. Watch this.
Mr. Lefelt came in here today saying that this is game day. You're right, Mr. Lefelt. This is game day.
The document that you have up behind you is a misrepresentation of the actual post. It appears that you're trying to misrepresent a witness here who you use subpoena powers.
What a complete joke. Using subpoena to bring in a witness. Falsifying a photo to look like he's flipping the bird. To this crazy base, you have to be an absolute moron to still be a Republican. To look at this and be like, yeah. You have to have taken 0 civics classes. You have to take -10 civics classes to think any of this is good, any of this is helping, any of this is worth our tax dollars. Like Republicans like to do stochastic terrorism, they like to put a target on people's heads, right? With fake stuff like that. So this guy, he thinks, here, I'll let you see. This is the guy who they falsified the picture about.
Right here for transparency. Let's go. Did you recently change your social media profile from public to private?
Stalker.
I did, sir.
Okay. Was that before or after you got wind that you might end up being here today?
That was around the time that I was receiving death threats and anti-Semitic messages from a number of people,
Also happened to be
sir.
right after you found out that you might be here, correct?
I can't recall, sir, specifically when I went private.
Yes, that is April 14th.
That guy knows better.
You did it after, so I'm going to give you another
almost
2
like,
counts
what's this guy's
for
name? It's
transparency.
almost like Mr. Fallon is stalking him. He knows exactly when his profile, this guy they falsified a picture of to the crazies out there. Stalker, man, peeking through the window with his pants down. Mr. Fallon, you creep. I know exactly when it went down. It went down April 14th at 3 a.m. So that's the Republican Congress. Mike Johnson looked around. He said, hey, the best person. Why I go yell at my kid for beating off? Why I call him up and say, hey, son, you're beating off again. I'll put Marjorie Taylor Greene in charge. That Congress. But the Senate, the Republican Senate, they have to have a little more pride, right? The Senate of Ted Cruz. They have to have a little more pride in their work. Let's check it out.
Hearing. But the way to establish credibility is not, as you did, sir, just engage in personality attacks and personal innuendo.
Why'd you close your social media?
I'm happy to speak with you and to work with you about anything dealing with corruption in this building. I've been writing about that for 3 decades. I've been called as a witness for both the Democrats and Republicans dealing with that.
Well,
but the way to presume,
I've only seen you as a witness.
Your time has expired, sir. Your time has expired.
I'm happy to yield back. Did you finish your question?
Only that the way that we can actually...
He doesn't even know the rules.
My time has expired.
Your time has expired. I said your time expired. He gets an opportunity to finish answering the question. You attack.
I'd like to reclaim my time.
No, you have no additional time. You are out of order.
He's
Be
answering
quiet. You are out of order.
I would like to reclaim
You cannot.
my time.
No, he's answering the question because you personally attacked him. I've said he can answer the question. I give that courtesy.
How did I personally attack him, Mr. Chairman?
You attacked his credibility. We're not going to get into we're not getting into this right now. What we're going to get
a witness. His credibility matters, sir.
You are out of order.
Look at him with their little gavels.
You are out of order. You're done. You can't say anything else right now.
The little power trips, all of them.
You may finish answering your question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that the one lesson from this exchange is that it's possible that we can restore credibility in this institution if we can just get beyond.
Yeah, that's what you got from this.
There were no personal attacks, Mr. Turley. You are a
witness.
Done. Your credibility matters.
Look at this little thing. Slam it again.
You, sir, you have lost your credibility with me. I gave that courtesy to everyone on this bench.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman. You ask a question. If they wanted to continue to answer beyond the time limit, I said, time's expired, you may answer the question. That's my routine. That's what I did today. You challenged him, asked him a question. You wanted an answer. Your time has expired. He is answering the question.
Mr. Chairman,
you don't like his answer. Because you don't like his answer, you want to shut him up.
You hurt his feelings. In the House, he's asking, why'd you close your social media? We wanted that stuff to come after you. Why'd you close it? We've been stalking you. And in the Senate, he's saying don't hurt this witness's feelings by asking his credibility. And all these little gavels they're slamming, how pathetic. I'm telling you, the fish rots from the head. This is Trump all the way down. They all feel like they're little mini Trumps. What the Democrats should do is just bring in their own gavels and start hitting the gavels back, right? Is anything being accomplished besides solving trans athletes in fencing? Is anything being accomplished in the Senate? Maybe the politicization of the FBI that's been happening straight in front of our face. Let's see if we'll get some questions from Ms. Dean. For Mr. Cash Patel, Cash or Credit.
In your book, your recent book, Government Gangsters, you include an appendix with a list of names that people have referred to as an enemies list. Now, I know you will claim it's just an appendix, not an enemies list. So let's focus on how the president sees it, on what the president calls it.
The FBI has an enemies list.
And you proudly display his quote on the front cover of your book. The president calls this a brilliant roadmap, a blueprint. And I have not even raised your storied children's book, The Plot Against the King. It concerns me how many people from this blueprint have been targeted with executive orders and FBI investigations. The FBI cannot be weaponized, and under your leadership, it has been nothing but a weapon alongside the president to go after the president's perceived opponents,
Gestapo.
to stifle dissent and free speech. A few weeks ago, as we saw through a social media post that you quickly deleted, the FBI arrested a judge in Wisconsin for correctly asking ICE officials if they had a judicial warrant instead of an administrative warrant, which they did not have. Despite this judge following the law, on the morning of April the 25th, the FBI arrested the judge in an escalation of the weaponization of the FBI under your leadership. Let me be clear. A functioning democracy does not lock up judges. I am gravely concerned about the utter lack of independence of the FBI and its weaponization under your leadership. I am concerned that the president is using this book, your book, as a blueprint, as he has said. It's a blueprint for revenge. And I am concerned that your eagerness, a childlike giddiness to carry out the president's revenge tour, you've shown yourself to be unserious in your statements before you were sworn in and some after. You've shown yourself unfit to lead this important agency.
So let's see what Mr. Hakey has to say for himself.
During your Senate confirmation hearings, you repeatedly denied having any involvement as a private citizen in the firing of FBI officials who engaged in the prosecution against January 6 insurrectionists, the violent rioters who beat and killed Capitol police officers, and whom you referred to as political prisoners.
I like this.
Since then, multiple whistleblowers have come forward, and we know that you likely committed perjury. At the same hearing, you claimed you were not familiar with Stu Peters, an anti-Semitic Holocaust denier, despite the fact that you appeared on Mr. Peters' podcast 8 separate times.
Whoops!
8 times. And you claimed not to recall. Mr. Patel, my second question is, should we worry more about your memory or your veracity?
We should worry more about your lack of candor. You're accusing me of committing perjury. Tell the American people how I broke the law and committed a felony. Have the audacity to actually put the facts forward instead of lying for political banter so you can have a 20-second donation hit.
The answer is both.
Ooh, look how flustered.
The answer is you're failing, not me.
Look at him.
Go ahead.
I guess the days of having a strong leader in the FBI are over. You see that little guy squirm? You see little Mr. Hinky squirm? Each of these Republicans that are wasting time unprepared, can't even learn the rules of their job, have no idea what they're doing. They're still going to take free health care. It's not free. We're paying for it. They're still going to take all that lobbyist money to vote against you and all your interests. They're going to get all their kids into the best colleges, whether they deserve it or not. And they're going to get it all paid for. They work 3 days out of the week, 4 months out of the year. Right? You know what I mean? And you know what? The dumbass Republicans who keep voting them in, who will just watch us like, awesome, good job, Cash, you get her, Cash your credit. Those dumbass Republicans are going to lose their health care, if they have any now anyway. The education, it's already gone. Your kids can't even get a basic education anymore. It's gutted. Because that has to be used to pay for these incredible, these historical tax breaks for these people's owners, for the 1% in this country. And the only good news is there won't be any amateur trans fencers anymore. So while they continue to manipulate you, while they continue to manipulate the market, play with your retirement. I mean, I can't even, if you're a Republican now, I hope you're unemployed and have no job, because if you think this is awesome that they're playing with your retirement, well, I'm glad that caveman made money off my 30, 40 years of work. That's what I was doing it for. If you're happy out here with them telling you your kids can't have toys anymore.
The other thing, too, is this reporter behind me was quite snarky the other day when President Trump talked about the girl having 2 dolls. And he said, well, what? President didn't take the question, but he said, what would you tell that girl? I said, I would tell that young girl that you will have a better life than your parents, that you and your family, thanks to President Trump, can now be confident again that you will have a better life than your parents, which working class Americans had abandoned that idea.
So the reason you can't buy dolls for your daughter, because that's what he's talking about,
right? Advance. You will have a good education. You will have economic freedom.
Republicans hate communism, right? They hate it. But this is exactly how communists talk. Your family, your children, they have to suffer so that in the future, everything will be blue skies and bright rainbows. And after 9 years of this bullshit, 20 years, the Tea Party, right? 30 years, 40 years, Ronald Reagan. After 40 years of this bullshit, if you keep believing that these people, when they're peeing on your head and they're telling you it's trickled down and you ask for more, can I have some more of that pee? If you watch this and you're finally happy to get that one trans athlete out of fencing, if you think this is a win for your cause, this channel is not for you. And ultimately, democracy, a republic, is not for you.
Trump is the new Adolf.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. There's one last clip I want to show you. And it's a lot of silence, and it goes on for a long time. That's why I put it at the end, in case you want to bail out. But here he is. This guy is just asking, Mr. I'm going to say his name wrong, aren't I? Mr. Nagoose. Mr. Magoose? Mr. Nagoose. Mr. Naguse? I don't know. But he's asking the Republicans to just debate to just debate this crazy budget they're putting forth. A budget that blindly is transferring all the wealth to the top 1%. He just wants to have a debate with it. And I just want to show you how the Republicans respond to that.
Support it. Perhaps I'll try something a little different this time, because I have made repeated offers to the chairman to try to engage him in debate. I've made good faith efforts to convince my colleagues that they should rise to the occasion and on behalf of their constituents be willing to defend their values, defend the positions that they have taken. But that has fallen, unfortunately, on deaf ears, and sort of just blanket refusal on the part of my Republican colleagues to engage in any kind of debate. So what I will just do, I will give my Republican colleagues an opportunity to explain.
To just debate. That's what they're
to their
there
constituents, to their colleagues, and to the American people why they believe this amendment should not be approved by the committee.
I see, and it's a lot of this. You know, have you ever heard one of these idiot chuds say, we're not a democracy, we're a republic? Well, this is a republic. You're supposed to elect these people in so they can go debate issues to enrich your lives, to make your lives better. But everybody in here, all these Republicans not talking, they're beholden to one person, right? They're beholden to the lobbyists that own them. And they can't step out of line because now the law.
I see. I have 3 minutes left. Long 3 minutes. Any of my colleagues to just explain why. I know you're all going to vote against the amendment. Just explain to the American people why.
Because they've been bought and paid for. And if they step out of line, the lobbyists have a dog now to sick on them. Donald Trump will tweet about him if they step out of line and stop the oligarchs from getting any of this cash. Any of this. This is about water rights. So I imagine this is Nestle, right? Look, someone's playing cricket sounds. Yeah. This is about water rights in Colorado being added to the budget, being stripped away from people. It's probably so Nestle can go in there and take your water or some other privatized company. And they can't even defend it because they know if they defend it, the real reason why might come up. This is late stage capitalism. You know what I mean? They're not beholden to anybody except a ruling class, except Donald Trump and the money. They're all little kings now.
Gentlemen, wish to yield this time?
Well, I'm happy to yield to you if you'd like to explain to me why you're against this amendment.
This is great. This is great to show you.
That's all I'm asking.
This is great to show you. Just how emancipated, not emancipated, how emancipated.
Well, maybe we'll do this for every amendment.
You should do this for every amendment.
I see we have some visitors who've arrived, and, you know, I think they ought to understand what the Congress has devolved to, where you essentially cannot have your colleagues debate you in any meaningful way.
Can't stand on your ideas or principles.
Debate you, period. Where they will just outright refuse. So just so the folks who have arrived understand, we're debating a really important amendment, in my view, to protect water rights in Colorado. And I'm just asking my colleagues on the other side of the aisle to debate me and perhaps explain why they agree with it or disagree with it. And the silence you hear is that they refuse to explain it. So we're just going to let the time on that clock behind you, you'll see there, 55 seconds left. We're just going to let it draw down, unless any of my colleagues wish to intervene and explain why they disagree with my idea.
A government, a party completely beholden to an oligarch ruling class. And they don't even need to go out and do this for their constituents, right? Because most of these idiots that keep voting them in think they're on a team, right?
For the students that have joined us, this is not normally how it works.
It is now.
Unprecedented.
Unfortunately,
not the way the Congress is supposed to function.
I'm on a team, and my team says no fencers, no trans people in amateur fencing. That's what I
see. My
about.
time has expired, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. The chair reminds members to address their remarks to the chair and not the audience. Does any...
I remind him to talk to me, the chair, not the audience, because the only people we're beholden to are the people that own us. But as for you, you talk directly to me, not these students here. coming in at the end. I didn't even know, I didn't even know they taught ethics classes anymore. Maybe it's a college student, not these students coming in and seeing the death of this democratic republic. The Chud Report.
Thank you so much. It is so interesting that I just learned today at 44 years old that the Republicans are going to be the ones to save women. The same Republicans that have been, say, for women's reproductive acts, or the same Republicans that have stood for the Equal Rights Act, which would hopefully get women to equal pay, or the same Republicans that just this Congress voted for the SAVE Act, which we know would disenfranchise women from even being able to vote. But let me tell you, they are our saviors, and so I am so happy to be here today, because otherwise I would not have an idea that I had a savior in the Republicans.